Hello and welcome to Foreign Charter. In this video, we will be looking at the complete guide for Indian students on how to apply for the KNB Scholarship 2025. The Kemitraan Negara Berkembang Scholarship or KNB Scholarship is an Indonesian government-funded program that offers fully funded higher education opportunities to students from developing countries, which means Indian students can also apply for the scholarship. Now, if you're looking to study in Indonesia for free, this scholarship could be the perfect opportunity for you. Now, let's take a look at what the KNB Scholarship really is. The Kemitraan Negara Berkembang Scholarship is provided by the Indonesian Ministry of Education and Culture. It is to support international students in pursuing their bachelor's, master's, or even PhD degrees in Indonesia. So it covers tuition fees, living allowances, or even a settling in allowance, and many more with it. Now, let's take a look at the benefits of KNB Scholarship. This very scholarship provides a wide range of benefits to international scholars, from full tuition fee coverage to monthly living allowance, health insurance, research and book allowances, 1 year Indonesian language training, that is Bahasa Indonesia, and a round-trip airfare from your home country to Indonesia. But what are the programs that are actually available? Now, let's take a look at what sort of programs are actually available under the scholarship. So, the undergraduate or the bachelor's program is for 4 years with 1 year of language training. The graduate or the master's are a 2-year-long program with 1 year of language training, while the doctoral or the PhD program is for 3 years with 1 year of language training. Moving ahead, now let's take a look at the eligibility criteria for the KNB Scholarship of 2025. To apply for the scholarship, one must meet the requirements given below. First, we have general requirements. Under general requirements, we have nationality, where a person applying for the scholarship must be a citizen of a developing country. For example, if you are applying from India, then you must have an Indian citizenship. Now, the second subpoint under general requirements is age limit, such that a person who wants to pursue his or her bachelor's degree must not be more than 25 years of age. As for the master's degree, the maximum age is 35 years, and for PhD, 40 years of age. The second point under the eligibility criteria is academic requirements. For someone who wants to pursue his or her bachelor's degree, should have his or her high school diploma with very good grades. For pursuing a master's degree, you need to have an undergraduate degree with a minimum GPA of 3.0 or even higher. As for someone who wants to pursue a PhD degree, you need to have a master's degree with a minimum GPA of 3.0 or even higher. English proficiency is also one such requirement under this scholarship, where one needs to have a TOEFL IBT of 80 plus and IELTS 6.0 plus or equivalent. Also, another such important requirement is that one should not be a current Indonesian citizen or have Indonesian permanent residency. One thing that can be very helpful is to get a recommendation letter from the Indonesian embassy in your country to apply. Now, let's take a look at the application process on how to apply for KNB 2025. The first step, as I've mentioned before, is to get a recommendation letter. It is very much necessary that you obtain a recommendation letter from the Indonesian embassy in India before applying, and for that matter, any other country that you are a permanent resident of. Now, the second step is to choose a university or program. It is very important that you select a university or program from the list of participating Indonesian institutions. For the third and the most important step is to gather the required documents. Your academic transcripts and certificates translated into Indonesian or even English. The second point, recommendation letters, where you need to collect recommendation letters from Indonesian embassy as well as previous institutions you have studied from. Third is statement of purpose, A properly written statement of purpose explains your academic and motivation to pursuing the specific program. Your curriculum vitae or CV is also another important factor. With it, some other documents needed are your English proficiency test score, your passport, or even your birth certificate. It would be wise to keep the documents ready during the application process to avoid any confusion. Finally, step 4, the submission of the online application. Go through and apply through the KNB Scholarship portal and upload all required documents before the deadline. The last and the most important step is selection and interview. So the shortlisted candidates may be required to attend an interview or submit additional documents. Here's a tip to remember. Start gathering your documents early and contact the Indonesian Embassy in India for guidance on the recommendation letter so that everything will be planned systematically before your application process. Now, let's take a look at some selection process and interview tips. The KNB selection process can be complex and can involve a lot of things. So let's take a look at it. In the first round, we have document screening by the Indonesian Ministry of Education. The documents that you have submitted will be screened by the ministry, where, after its screening process, will undergo the second round, that is university selection and interview, if required. After which, in the third round, the final approval and the scholarship award takes place. So, some common questions that are generally asked during your interview can be something very general, such as why do you want to study in Indonesia? How will this scholarship help you achieve your career goals? Or how will you contribute to the development of your country after graduation? And what challenges do you expect to face while studying in Indonesia? So, preparing for such questions early on can be very much helpful during your interview. Now, here's a tip that can be very helpful. During the questioning round, show your enthusiasm for Indonesian culture and education and explain how the scholarship aligns with your long-term goals. Preparing one step ahead can actually give you an upper hand. While we have actually looked through on how to prepare for the interview, now let's take a look at some common mistakes and how to avoid them. So a lot of candidates or applicants actually get disqualified due to very simple mistakes. And here's what to watch out for. In the first point, we have not obtaining the Indonesian Embassy recommendation letter. This is a result of due negligence by the applicants or candidates during the application process. The recommendation letter from the embassy is a mandatory requirement, so please look out for it. In the second point, we have incomplete or incorrect documents. It is important that one checks the official guidelines before applying for it. As I've mentioned before, a good SOP or statement of purpose explains your academic and career goals. So having a weak SOP can actually weaken your chance of getting into the university or even getting a scholarship. And the last point that we have is late application submission. Waiting well before the deadline to apply for the application. This is not going to work. Applying before the deadline can help avoid last-minute issues. So be very careful with it. Let's now take a look at what life in Indonesia as a KNB scholar really is like. The international scholars who get an opportunity can experience a diverse culture, warm hospitality, and an affordable cost of living while studying in Indonesia. So, looking at the stipend and living costs, these scholars receive the monthly living allowance, which covers their accommodation and food expenses. So Indonesia also has a relatively low cost of living compared to Western countries, which makes it easier for the scholars to adjust to the Indonesian lifestyle. Along with it, there are certain challenges that are usually faced by the KNB scholars, such as language barrier. It is essential for one to learn Bahasa Indonesian to become part of the program or even the culture. Learning the language can be helpful in conversing with the native local speakers. Sometimes the scholars find difficulty in adjusting to the culture and tradition of Indonesia because of the cultural differences that exist. Also, Indonesian universities have rigorous coursework and sometimes the academic expectations can be really high. One thing that can really help is engaging in cultural exchange activities, making local friends, and practicing Bahasa Indonesia daily to adapt quickly. Some final tips for KNB 2025 applicants are starting early. Contacting the Indonesian embassy in India as soon as possible can be helpful. Now, triple checking your documents for any errors so as to avoid any disqualification. Writing a strong SOP to show your clear academic and career goals. Preparing yourself for the interview by being confident and highlighting your motivation for studying in Indonesia. And also joining student forums by connecting with the past KNB scholars for insight and advice can help you in securing the scholarship. Now you can find your information at the KNB Scholarship official website or even the Indonesian Embassy in India website. And if you have any queries or questions regarding it, you can always join Foreign Chatra's one-on-one consultation. It is open for all. Now good luck with your KNB 2025 application. See you all in the next video.